Hey everyone, do you want to learn how to make this beautiful wrap dress? Well, guess what? You are at the right place because I'm going to show you how to make this beauty. So I'm starting off by drawing a line, and it's on this line that I'm going to start my measurement. So I'm taking 3.5 inches for my shoulder, for my neck line, yeah. And then the next measurement is going to be my shoulder divided by 2, which is 14 divided by 15 divided by 2, 7.5. Then on that shoulder measurement, I'll come down by 1 inch, and that is for my shoulder slope. And then I'm connecting it to 3.5 inch that I marked for my neckline. So the next measurement I'll be taking is my armhole, and you can measure my round armhole is 18 divided by 2 is 9. You can measure yours to know what your armhole is, but mine is 9. So the next one I'm going to take 11.5 inches for my bust point. I have a video on how to take your measurements, so I'll leave the link in the description so you can go check it out and know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm marking my 11.5 inches point for my shoulder to nipple. Then the next measurement will be 18 inches for my waistline. So yeah, that is what I am marking now. And then from that 18 inches from that waistline, I'm going to go down by 9 inches, and that is going to be my hip line. So you see, from my 18 inches marked, I'll go down by 9 inches, and that is for my hip line. So I've gone ahead, and this here now is my dress length. So I'll just go ahead and connect all the lines. So I've done that, and this is my underarm. This here is my bust point, but I'll just write BP there, but it's bust point. The third line is my waistline, and then this one now is my hip line. And then I have my dress length, although this is not exactly the length I'm going to use for my dress, but I'm going to do that later. So for my bust point, I'm going to divide my round bust circumference by 4. My round bust is 40 divided by 4 is 10 inches. That is what I am marking there. Then I'll go ahead and measure my waist measurement, which is 13 divided by 4. You divide it by 4, not by 2. So that is what I am marking there also. Then my hip is also 40 divided by 4, which is 10 inches. So on my underarm, I'm also going to take my bust measurements. That is the same thing I have on my bust point. I'm also going to have it on my underarm. So on top here, I have 7.5 inches. I'm going to take that 7.5 inches down to my underarm line, and I'll just draw a straight line so that I'll be able to mark that is where my arm is going to pass through. So I'm going to measure 1.5 inches for my back neckline. I measured 1.5. You can use 1, you can use 2, it depends on what you want. And then I'm going to connect the 3.5 inches I measured earlier to the 1.5 inches I just drew out. I'm just going to make a curve for my neckline. If you have a curve ruler, you should use that, because yeah, just because, but I don't have, so I just always use freehand. Now I'm going to draw my back armhole, and I'm just going to connect it. And that is for my back armhole. Now for the front part, I'm going to measure it like you are seeing here, and when I measured, I got 8 inches. So the the middle of 8 inches is 4 inches. That is what I just marked. And then I'll go in by half an inch, and then I will connect it, and this is going to be for my front armhole, because I'm using one paper for both my front and back. And by the way, this paper is folded into two, so yeah. And now I'll just go ahead to join my lines together. Then on the length of the dress, I'm going to measure the same thing I have on my hip point. That is just what I measured on the length of, this paper. And yeah, this is how it's going to look like. We have my underarm, bust point, waist, hip point, and dress length. Now I'm going to mark half inch. I'm going to put half inch all around this side, as you can see. So I'm going to cut for the front part first, for the back side, sorry, first, so you can see all my lines, my 1 inch sewing allowance. That is what I just marked now. Now I'll just go ahead and cut. And after cutting, we are going to have our back pattern. Now I've placed the paper on my fabric, and also know that my fabric is folded into two. And then I'm gonna cut from the, you're not gonna cut from the folded part. I'm gonna cut from the part that is not folded. So because the length of this paper is 39 and my dress length is supposed to be 42, so I just added 3 inches to the length, and then 2 inches for folding, for hemming allowance, and that is what I am showing you right now. So I'm going to make a curve, and to do that I'll measure my hip point, which is 10.5. Then I measured it down on my desired length. I measured 10.5 inches there, and then I took out 1 inch because I want my gown to be a little bit tapered or pencil. And then I'm going to mark a new line, and this is the shape that my dress is going to have. So I reduced 1 inch from the hem, and then connected it again to my hip point, and that is just what I have. Then the second line, the one I'm cutting off now, is the 2 inches that I added for hemming, and then I'll just cut the whole thing. Now make sure that you don't have sharp edges on your hip point or waist point or any point at all. Always make sure to try as much as possible to make it a curve. And then I'll go ahead and just open it, and this is what we are having for our back piece. Now it's time to cut for the front, and I'll just go ahead and open up the paper, and then I'll just connect the lines. Like my underarm, I'm just going to connect it to the other side. My bust point, my waist, my hip point, I'll just join the whole lines, make it longer, as you can see in the video. And please, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please do that now. Subscription is totally free, so please just subscribe now, okay? Thank you. Now I'm done connecting the whole lines, and then I'm going to join from my shoulder on the other side, from my shoulder right here, as I'm pointing to my waist. I'm just going to mark a straight line. If you want, you can make yours a curve if you have a curve ruler, but I don't, and I really don't know how to make that curve without a curve ruler, so I just decided to just go with a straight line, and it turned out beautiful also. Okay, so I'll just make a straight line from my shoulder, as you can see, to my waist. Yeah, and then on the bottom part I'm going to measure 10 inches. You can measure any inch you want, it just depends on how open or how close you want your dress to be. So from that 10 inches I'm going to connect it again from my waist back to the 10 inches. And now I just added half inch on the new line that we have. I just added half inches for our folding allowance. And then I also added my 5 inches, that is 3 more inches, and then 2 inches for hemming allowance. And then I'm just going to mark down the tapered net that we created for the back piece. So yeah, that is just what we have here. And now I'm just going to cut again. Now, not that you just have to put the half inches here, because already the half inch for the shaping is already on the paper. Now I forgot to add half inch for my front armhole, so I brought back the piece that I already cut off. So that's what I'm just pinning it on my fabric and on my paper. So you can see the F there that I have. So from that on that point I'm just going to mark half inch, and that is because we are attaching sleeves to this dress, so I need a half inch for sleeve attachment. So that's what I'm just going to add here, my half inch. So I'm just adding half all the way, and then I'll just go ahead, connect it, and then cut the whole thing off. So I've connected this, and now I'm going to cut on the new line that I just measured. So yeah, it's just as simple as that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me in the comments section. I'll be super happy to answer you. So I have done that, and I've unpinned it, and now we have two fabrics. I just marked the wrong size so I don't get confused, because this fabric is really confusing. Now I have placed both the front and the back pieces together, and I have marked half an inch on both sides, and then I'll just go ahead to my sewing machine and sew in the half an inch, and then I'm going to hem the front side with my bias tape. You can use your fabric, but I was just trying to save my fabric, so I just used the bias tape. I'm going to use it for all the edges that I'm going to close up, both for the neckline, the back neckline. So yeah, I've gone ahead and I have done that. I have gone ahead to sew up the half inches. I have also gone ahead to bias it for both the front and the back neckline. I have done that all around, and then I left 1.5 inches for where my belt is going to pass through. So I'm going to insert my belt to pass through. You can see the neckline. I have also biased it. I've also sewn it up with my bias tape. I'm just cutting off the excess. So this is how it's looking, very neat and nice. Now I'm going to go ahead to join the shoulder by placing it right side facing right side, and then you have to pin it, and on it you're going to mark half an inch and just sew it up by half an inch. You're going to do the same thing also to the other shoulder. Place it together, pin it down, and sew in by half an inch. The half an inch that we marked on the paper while marking it out. And yeah, now these are the belts. So I have two belts here. One is longer and one is shorter. The long one is 36 inches while the shorter one is 22 inches. You can use your tape and measure to know how long you want your belt to be, okay? Now the short one, I'm going to also open up 1.5 inch on my side, on the side that you want the wrap to go into. So I just measured 1.5 inch, and that is where I'm going to open up with a seam ripper, or if you have a pin, you can just use it to open it up. And after opening it and creating the hole, you are also supposed to go back and back stitch each side. So I'm going to take the shorter one. After I must have sewed it and turned it over, I'm going to take it and place it. That is the one that is going to go in through that hole, while the longer one is going to cross over to the back or to the other side. I hope that makes sense. Just think it through. I know it must make sense. Now I just want to create that little belt, something that makes belts nice. I'll just measure like 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and then I'll just snip it. I'll just cut it like this. I'll just cut it like this. So yeah, this is how our belt is going to look like. Now just go ahead and sew it and then turn it over. Now I have sewn it, so I'm just using my broomstick to turn it over to the right side. And this is the right side. This is what our belt will look like. Now you can just go ahead and iron the belt. Okay, I have attached my belt, and this is the long one, the longer belt that I was talking about, that is going to cross over to the back. And this one that I just removed is the shorter one, and you can see why it's short, because it's not going, it's not supposed to be that long. It's just going through that hole, and that is just it. You can either tie it at the back or at the side. So yeah, that's why it's shorter. Now this is my belt already. You can tie it however you want to tie it. Okay, now I'll just go and hem my dress by folding. I'll just fold it. We left 2 inches for hemming, so I'll just fold it once and fold it again, and then sew it to the other side, and that is just it. Now for our sleeve, my sleeve length is 12 inches, sewing allowance included. And then I'm going to measure my round arm. My round arm is 13 divided by 2 is 6.5, but then I'll add 3 inches for just make it a little, because I'm going for a puff sleeve, plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, making it a total of 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches there. Now from the top of the 10 inch, I'm just going to mark 5 inches, and then from the point I'm just going to connect it to the 5 inches, just like kind of like an S. So my dress armhole measurement, after I have done everything to it, is 20 all round, divided by 2 is 10. So here I'm just making sure to measure to know if I can get 11 inches. That is extra 1 inch for my sewing allowance. But I just kept getting more than. This first one I got 12.5, second one I got 12, but then the third one I got 11. But I just changed my mind. I said I'm just going to go for the 12, which is the second line I drew. So I'm just going to go with the second line, which is 12, and then the remaining piece I'm just going to make it a puff. And then you see how I just marked a straight line. I did not, because this is a puff sleeve, so I just marked it straight, as you can see. And then I'm just going to cut the second one, and then I'm making a notch, and this is what our sleeve is looking like. The first one, after I did everything, put my band and all of that. Now I'm going to explain how I got it using this second sleeve. Now I went in and I folded it by half by 1 inch, and then I'm going to insert my elastic into it like this. And then on the other end, I'll put another safety pin and then pin it on my dress. This is so that it doesn't, go in with the one we are inserting, so it stays safe. And now I'm doing just inserting it, and then once it's out, I'm going to tie it with the other end of the elastic band like so. You can either tie it, or you can just stitch, go to a sewing machine and just join it together. Now this is what I'm going to do, and after that I'm just going to join it with by half an inch. As you can see, I'm just going to join it by half an inch. Now I have joined it. I'm just going to turn it over, then place it on my fabric. The joined part, I'm going to also place it on the joined part of my armhole like so, and I'll place it right side facing right side. Now I'll make sure that the joint part is faced on the joint part of my dress. And now for the top where I notched, I'm going to place it on where my shoulder is meeting, right side facing right side also, and then I'm going to go ahead and pin it. And then I'll carefully place my dress and the sleeve together like this. I'll keep doing this. I'll just keep pinning it, and I've done that all around, and then we are left with this extra fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and pleat each side like this, and then pin it down also with a pin. I'm just going to pleat it and pin it down, and then for the other side I'll pleat it also and pin it down. Like you can see here, we have our puff here. This is how we created the puff. Now just go ahead and sew it in by half an inch, and voila, this is what our sleeve is looking like. All nice, all fine, and that is it. Now this is our dress. Then just go ahead to properly iron it out, and this is our belt. So yeah, this is just how to make a beautiful wrap dress with puff sleeves. Thank you so much guys for staying tuned and watching this video. Please make sure to like this video, share, comment, and please, if you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.